Season 3, Episode 2 of WWE Unreal talked about John Cena's last two matches in his wrestling career. And we see CM Punk start talking and says he wanted to be a part of John Cena's farewell tour. And is wondering where he can fit in, and he says that him and John Cena are wrestling soulmates, and of course they showed matches between these two men they've had in the past, 2009, 2011, Money in the Bank, of course. And CM Punk said that John Cena, basically, when you think of Thuganomics, you think of John Cena, which brings me to a question. Was Thuganomics a word before John Cena, or did John Cena just make the word up? I don't really know the history of the Thuganomics word, so I don't know if it was a thing before John Cena, was a thing, but, I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. And then Michael Hayes basically said that John Cena becoming the Dr. Thuganomics saved his career, and it was basically the starting point of John Cena, because before that he was basically a failure. Big Ed said the same thing. And John Cena said that when he used to cut the promos and rhythm when he was the Dr. Thuganomics character, he did like 5 at like rhymes at minimum, because when you start getting into more and more and more, it's kind of hard to remember. So yeah, so that's why he only did 5, because more the words you do, the more harder it is to remember. And CM Punk remembers thinking of the word punkonomics, and he knew that he had to do it. And they showed the promo clip of him doing it, and John Cena was worried that CM Punk was going to mess up and forget some of the lines, because doing a bunch of rhymes like that is hard to remember. But he absolutely crushed it. And John Cena's face right here was after CM Punk said, "I'm going to miss you," and then went back to the promo. And CM Punk said he did that because he wanted it to be an emotional moment for John, to drag him down from Earth. And, realize that, and, really soak in all the words that CM Punk is saying. And, yeah. Then Triple H says we had plans for Seth Rollins for WrestleMania, but his injury at Crown Jewel, where his shoulder was cooked, they had to start redoing everything. Then we see Seth Rollins trying to do his pose at the Raw after Crown Jewel. He couldn't. And then we see Triple H explaining the vision and saying it started at WrestleMania 41. Then it was supposed to be Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins' star power combined to rise Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed's stocks up. But then he got injured, so why not have Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed just take over the group while Seth's off recovering and having surgery. Then we see Seth Rollins go over the rehearsed plans backstage of how the turn and stuff is happening, and he wants Braun Breaker to give him the hardest spear like he would anyone else. And then we see it happen, turn, boom, 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 and then backstage we see Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker talking, says, "You good, I liked it, yo, blah, 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 blah." Then we see Ed saying, stuff happens, then we have to move the championship somewhere else. And then we see this man, Ryan Ward, said everyone's on board with Punk winning. And Alex Williams was like, everyone is Punk. And we see the CM Punk versus Jey Uso match, where CM Punk says this could be some people's last time in Salt Lake City ever seeing CM Punk, and him winning a world championship, if this is the last time they're seeing CM Punk, was very special. And then we see Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, talking backstage after the match, saying, "Oh, what's the protocol? Do I take this championship home?" Then we see CM Punk in an ice bath after the match, and he says that he does a nice bath to reset his nervous system so he isn't all antsy and stuff. Then we move to Liv Morgan, where she says she lives on a couple acres of land and has, some animals. And she doesn't really like dairy or eggs, so her chickens are really just, and her cows are just really just pets, because she doesn't really like that type of stuff. And she pulled out an egg, and she said that came straight from the butthole of a chicken. It's a very fresh one, too. And she said her name, her real name, and, her ring name. And immediately she started getting attacked by a hornet, and she said, I knew they were going to think I was a sunflower. And then they pointed up to the roof on the barn, and you see a tiny, ginormous hornet's nest, and one of them fell down, and we just hear her screaming. Number one, Liv, I think you need to get this down. You need to call someone if you need someone. This is not. I don't think that's good. Personally, what I would personally do is burn down the entire barn, because at that point it's contaminated and you don't even own the barn at this point. The wasp, or no, the hornets own this part of the barn now. So you might just want to sell the entire farm, honestly. You might just want to sell the entire farm, get a new one, take your pets with you, get a whole new one, because that's just me, and everyone thinks like me, right? So, you know what? Liv Morgan, if I saw this, I would just sell the entire property, get a new one, make sure they don't have it. And if it happens again, sell it, just keep on selling it until I get one that doesn't have one, because that's what you're supposed to do, because these now own the house. Or you get someone else that are risking their life, will risk their life to get stung. Because me personally, I'm either never going near the barn ever again and burning it, or burning it down. It's either I'm selling the property, never going near it again, locking it up, or burn down the barn. Because I'm not going inside, because I'm not doing it, because I'm going to get stung, and I'm not trying to get stung by a hornet. So you better be, Liv, get this taken down, bro. Get this taken down. Also, I don't know if this says anything, but Liv Morgan literally just got off the chair and ran, but stayed by the chair. Me personally, if that was me, I would have ran completely out of the barn. Completely out of the barn. You would also hear me scream like a little girl, too. I would be running back to my house, and I said, you know what, I don't want to do the interview, I quit. Done. No, I'm not doing the interview in the barn, let's do it in my house. I'm not doing it in there. Because now that barn no longer belongs to me. It belongs to these little evil things that don't deserve life. Just saying. And Liv Morgan said that she shouldn't be where she is today because she was a high school dropout. She got her GED, and she wasn't a D1 athlete. She worked at Hooters. And one day, Joe DeFranco walked in, the trainer of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. He passed her information along. She got a tryout, and she was signed. And she said that the tattoo on the back of her neck represents the first time she ever debuted on WWE television. And she said she's a freak, and she likes the pain. And then we see a clip of Liv Morgan and Triple H talking, and Triple H saying that Liv Morgan is a ring general now, and that she brings the best out of everyone in the ring. And then they talk about her injury on June 16th, 2025 in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where she basically destroyed her shoulder, and they popped into place, and she felt so selfishly, she felt so bad that she was going to miss all of the plans that WWE had for her. And I'm not gonna lie, I would too. And then she said that she thought the pop in her shoulder was just gonna be like, oh, I can finally go wrestle next week, oh, blah, 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 blah. But, no, that's not how that works. And, she wish she could come back. And then we see Ryan Ward say Liv Morgan was so over before she got injured. And Triple H was like, when did she come back? She's scheduled to be cleared around Survivor Series. And Ed was like, John Cena said that he wants everyone to get involved at Survivor Series. So we go to Survivor Series San Diego, where we see Dominic Mysterio say John Cena is like a teacher. and then he wanted to get everyone involved, so we go to the Dominic versus John Cena match, where we see Raquel get involved, and John Cena is like, oh, these kids have a chance to win. The Tejana Bomb. The Big Pop Rocks. 619 from the fake injured Dom. And then we see Adam Pearce say, yep, get him out, yep, do it, yep. And then we see the referee get them out. Oh, and then we get, JD and Finn come out, beat up Cena a little bit. And then we see John Cena give the double attitude adjustment to JD and Finn. And then we just see Triple H laughing and say, like, what are you laughing at, bro? Get in that ring and take an attitude adjustment. Sorry, I'm sorry. But yeah, they were laughing. Everyone backstage was laughing at that because, Finn landed on top of JD. Big attitude adjustment. Liv Morgan returned. Did the little crazy eyes. Big kick to the balls. Then title shots into the 619. Big frog splash to the 1-2-3. Dominic wins. And then we see it cut back to Liv Morgan, where she said she felt like she never even left and was checking on John Cena to make sure he didn't hurt his balls. Very interesting wording, Liv. That was the very interesting wording. And then we got John Cena saying, I was wearing denim. And if you stretch denim now, it basically just bounces off. So, John, you are confusing me. You guys are weird. And I don't like how Liv Morgan worded that either. Hurt your balls? Liv Morgan is the type of person to say that. Liv Morgan is, what I found out, is she's a little bit of a freak. You know what I'm saying? She's a little bit of a freak. Which is fine, because that's why we all love her. And then we back to Triple H. And Triple H was like, John Cena gave us this idea for Saturday night's main event. And he was like, ask the creative team how they like John Cena's idea for Saturday night's main event, where it's not just based around him. It's based around every up-and-coming star. And John Cena was like, that's how I debuted. And like they were saying Javon, Oba, Soul. And that's how I debuted in 2002. And then we see Ryan Ward say, are you sure we just don't want John Cena opening Saturday Night's main event so we can get out and leave the building? Because that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want a big hoo-ah, right? And Bruce Pritchard's like, hey, I told him you're main eventing, bro. This show's about you. And Triple H is like, yeah, people are like, he's not as emotional because, he said that he's been planning this for 4 years at this point. So we had 4 years to get out these emotions. Then it's time for John Cena's big night. And John Cena says that he knew Gunther was his final opponent before he even faced Brock Lesnar. And when John Cena was saying, when Triple H brought the idea to me, I was like, oh my god, I finally get to tap out. And Hunter was like, are you sure about that? And he was like, yeah. The guy who never gives up, gives up. Oh my god, I finally get to tap out. And when John said that, he was a little too excited. John, I'm sorry, but you are a little too excited to tap out. He's like, oh my god, I finally get to tap out. Let's go. I finally get to tap out. Let's go. Like, John, bro. No one's excited that you tapped out, bro. John Cena is the only guy that's excited that John Cena tapped out. I'm just saying. And then we see Triple H telling the talent, hey. After John Cena's last match, we have this big big surprise where we do a ceremony and stuff. So if you guys want to be there, be there. And so we got Stu saying before John Cena, when he first started working in WWE, that no one talked to the camera except John Cena. And John Cena explained the reason why he talked to the camera is because it felt like Stu was the closest person to the audience, so he could have a closer connection to the audience and stuff. And we see John Cena and his brother Ron Cena, next to each other, having some brotherly love time. And then we see Oba, Cody, all the talent. Boom, and then he's making sure, and Cody's making sure Oba was okay and liked it. Soul, Javon, and then we got back to CM Punk, and CM Punk said that he was sent this clip of Hulk Hogan getting the title from Batista and John Cena. And CM Punk came up to Cody and asked him if it was how he felt about the idea, and Cody was like, "Yeah, it's a great idea." And then Cody said that he was a little mad that he didn't come up with the idea, and that Punk did. And then it was time for John Cena versus Gunther, and CM Punk said that he wanted to feel off the energy of the crowd, and that's why he was in the stands with everyone else to watch John Cena's last match with Bayley. And him and Bayley watched John Cena's last match from the crowd, and Stu said that it made him feel good that John Cena pointed the camera to him. And then we get to this match where we see, John Cena and Gunther wrestle, all that stuff, the Germans, the attitude adjustments, the super attitude adjustment, the drop kick. And then, man, look at this, man. CM Punk was stressing over here. Look at him. CM Punk's like, oh my god. And then we see John Cena survive the sleeper hold. And then all of a sudden we hear John Cena start narrating and saying Gunther is a great heel because he can control the pace of the match and start dominating his opponents. And then we see the infamous smile on John Cena where he starts smiling and taps out. And look at CM Punk's face when he tapped out. He was like, oh my god. Like, CM Punk was completely shocked and flabbergasted that this man John Cena tapped out. And the kids started crying. CM Punk hugged Cody Rhodes. Then we see CM Punk and Cody Rhodes go to the ring, trying to put the titles on Cena, and says, "You don't fight this man. You did this for Hogan. You can do it. You can do it. We're going to do it for you." And we see John Cena standing there with the titles, him walking out, Michael Cole crying, grown man, by the way, crying. And then we see the reaction from IShowSpeed. No way, John Cena lost his last match. Thank you, Cena, for teaching me never to give up. And then we see the reactions. We even see Phantom. W Phantom, by the way. Phantom even reacted to his last match, which, by the way, W Phantom. And, by the way, I think Phantom would deserve to be fired from the Schumer University Police Department for kidnapping Dean Sinat. But can we just say that Phantom did an excellent job before he kidnapped Kai Sinat? You know what I'm saying? And then, watch me go through the 5 stages of grief after Cena taps out. And before this clip ends, we hear the IWC's not going to like this one. And instead we have Cena praising Triple H, saying he's very easy to work with, and he lets people free to do what they want. And then we see the Triple H smiling at the crowd, saying, "You effed up, you effed up, you effed up." And then, we see Triple H saying, "Man, I'm a little disappointed. I expected better." And then Triple H is like, people might say that the farewell tour was a failure, but it was a success. But in my eyes, it was a success on all different levels. And I mean, he's low-key right, because it brought the company the most money he's ever made in its entire history. And I mean, even John Cena, also John Cena is a D1 Glazer. D1 Glazer for WWE. Let me just tell you this, man. This man, John Cena said people wanted to be at WrestleMania. And he was like, why? Why would they want to be at WrestleMania? Let's do it on a random Saturday in the worst month of a quarter, of the worst month of WWE, and bring them and try to bring quarter four more money. Like this man John Cena said, let's do it in December so WWE can make more money. This man would do anything for WWE. This man loves the WWE dick. And then John Cena started talking about his career and said he wouldn't want to go back on any of his moments because he already had all the moments, like 2008 Royal Rumble, him winning the Intercontinental Championship. And he says that his in-ring career is done for and never wants to go back and take any other bumps ever again. And that was it of WWE Unreal Season 3, Episode 2. And low-key a W episode. This was one of my favorite episodes ever. And I think personally the best Unreal episode out of all the seasons. Out of all the episodes they've done, I personally believe this is the best one they've done. Because first off, it's funny. I mean, I've laughed more times in this episode than I've done in any other episode. I think it's because, first off, Liv Morgan's a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs lady. John Cena is a crazy dit rider. You know what I'm saying? He's a crazy dit rider. And also had fandom in it. W fandom. W John Cena, W Liv Morgan, W Unreal, and that's all for you guys today. Have a beautiful rest of the day. See you tomorrow. Bye.